alaikum. Why do victims of domestic abuse stay within a relationship where they're being abused? Before I answer that, I just want to say there can be disagreements and other issues within a marriage. That doesn't necessarily mean it's abuse. It is different, and sometimes there is a fine line in between. It's always worth seeking support together, both couples within the relationship, to be able to move that relationship forward. Most people that I speak to that are within an abusive relationship feel that they are to blame and there's something that they have done that has caused the issue. They feel they have a duty to maintain that relationship. They also feel they have a duty to make a change within the abuser's life, to maybe help them out through any issues that they have experienced in their childhood or in their past that may help them to change and become a better person. Sometimes it's just simply because of the love. Now, victims of abuse are not only women, there are men as well, although it is underreported and we don't see as many men in the statistics, particularly within our communities. Abuse can happen in families of any class. It doesn't matter whether you're financially well off or not doing so well, or whether you're highly educated. There's no discrimination. It can happen in any family. Abuse can be physical, it can be sexual, it can be financial, and it can also be psychological. When you're on the lookout for a spouse, you're not going to see the signs of an abuser. And to some extent, even the person that is capable of abuse may not even realize at the time that they are capable of abuse. Even at the beginning of the marriage, there may not be many signs of abuse at that point. Abuse starts to take place when there is some form of tension within that relationship, or even external tension having an impact on the relationship. The partner can see this tension increasing within the relationship, and so what they try to do is prevent the tension from escalating, or even try and protect the abuser from any tension that may be coming. And this victim tends to be walking on eggshells a lot of the time. It's only when the pressure really increases and the abuser is unable to manage or continue to take control of a situation is when the abuse really starts. The victim is made to feel useless, inadequate, unworthy, and they also become very fearful. Following this comes the honeymoon phase, and this is when the abuser begs for forgiveness and promises that they will never do anything like this again. And they present as very genuine. Some of the time they may well be genuine, and this causes the abused to feel very guilty. This is a power game. The abuser uses his power to gain control of the situation. So when the abuser is regretful, what happens is the abuser hands down the power to the abused, making the abused feel that they have some more power within that relationship, and that's what keeps them within that relationship. The abuser may then give very short-lived promises. They may say that they want to be with their partner all the time, not spend time apart, want to be everywhere that they go, so they will get to know who their friends are, spend a lot of time with the family, and slowly build relationships with everyone. And obviously at this point, the abused is feeling that actually no, my partner is making every difference possible to make this marriage work. What will happen is the abuser will start to sever all the relationships the abused has with either their family or their friends, telling them that they need to make a decision between the partner or their family or their friends. This then isolates the victim, puts them in a situation where they're further vulnerable, they are lonely, they have nowhere to reach out if they need help. The abuser then tries to regain trust by saying that they have done as much as they can for their own family, for the partner, for the children, if there's children involved, working day and night, and unable to give any more attention at that particular time. And that's the time when the abuser then moves away from all the attention that they were giving before, where they were constantly with the victim. The victim at this point feels very guilty and feels that, you know what, it's not worth me causing trouble here. My partner is doing the best they can for me, so it's fine. I will just see how things ride out. However, whenever the victim tries to take a little bit of control back into their own lives, the abuse then starts again. Abuse can happen repetitively, like a cycle. You'll have good times, you'll have bad times, you'll have good times, you have bad times. But what happens is the intensity of the bad times, the intensity of the abuse keeps increasing each time this cycle repeats itself. This causes the victim to feel even worse. They feel that they are not worthy of doing anything. And by this point, even if they wanted to leave the marriage, they feel that there is no way they can leave the marriage because they're incapable of anything on their own. They are fully attached to the abuser. They are fully dependent on the abuser. To keep the victim in control, the abuser may say things like, "You're embarrassing me," when they're going out. "You don't know what you're saying. You can't manage things. I am going to take on the household because you can't do it. Your job only is to look after the kids, or your job only is to, I don't know, manage the household." Again, the control goes back to the abuser. If the abuse is physical, the abuse may happen after a good period when the victim least expects anything to happen. And actually what happens here is the abused is completely shaken up from this experience. Yet what we find is the victim still stays within that relationship, feeling that they can make a change. Why? Because they love their partner. With sexual assault, the abuser presents very genuine. They may be genuine. They present their warmest side. They make the victim feel like they're a princess if it's a woman, and make them feel so special. But what happens afterwards is that there's a complete change of tone within minutes. And the victim ends up feeling so let down, so confused. They don't understand what is happening with them. And with that may come lots of emotional abuse as well. As we know, with financial abuse, the victim will be stripped off of all their finances. They may initially hand over their finances because they feel it's the best thing to do. Culturally, it's the right thing to do. They also feel that, you know what, why do I need to take responsibility of that? Where my partner is taking care of the finances anyway, I'll just hand over my finances too. There's a lot of trust at stake here. Trust is given within that relationship at the beginning, and what the abuser does is they abuse the trust. So what else stops the abused from leaving the relationship? What stops the victim? If they've got children, if they've got no finances left at all, if they feel unworthy, their mental health has been really stretched to the effect that they just don't feel they can cope with anything else in their life. There's also the impact of stigma and culture in society, and that holds back the victim from leaving that relationship and continuing to take on all the abuse. And this abuse also has an impact on the children. Even if their children are not being abused, the children will feel the impact of the abuse. The list is endless. However, what I must say is the confusion is the biggest issue. When the victim feels that they have lost everything, they don't know what's happening to them from one minute to the next. And this is a big spiral, a big storm that keeps going round and round and round. The same issues keep coming again, and they're on a roller coaster ride. Eventually, they end up losing their own mind. They are very confused. The Quran says in Surah 2:229, either keep her, although it says her, but keep her in an acceptable manner, or release her with good testament. Sometimes the abused can experience symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. The wounds of such a relationship can last a lifetime if no support is given. And it won't just affect the abused, it will affect the family members, it will affect the children. You will never feel enough within a relationship of abuse because you can never be enough for the abuser. If you find yourself in such a relationship or you're not sure, please reach out to somebody that you trust. Maybe use some of the services that are available in your area just to gain some information. Please don't feel ashamed of gaining support. You're not alone in this, and we can help.